We now return to Rise of the Triad. We put General Darien in a lunchbox.
Kind of put himself there. Put himself in there, really.
Yeah, something like that. And now we get to go to a castle.
Looks like you've made it to the Triad's castle. Go inspect their tapestries. Also, shoot anything that moves.
Self-furnishings are important. Over.
Needs more bullet holes. So yeah, we're going into this episode proper. This is my favorite of all 4 episodes because, as I noted at the end of the last video, it is very Wolfenstein in aesthetic. Like, it's the one thing where I think, in terms of style, it's the one that shines through the most, in spite of this game's addiction to, like, stock Unreal Engine 3, like, visual tricks and effects that are pushed to the max.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, look at that. It was originally supposed to be called Wolfenstein 2, The Rise of the Triad.
Smile on anybody's face.
See, they knew.
I imagine it was probably meant to be some kind of actual Triad organization as well back then.
Probably, yeah. Something like that. Or, I don't know. It was probably maybe a Daikatana situation where it's more like they use the term that sounds Asian, but like they obviously aren't making anything that feels authentic in that regard. Also, for the record, I did not shoot the dogs. I was standing in front of the cages and they were shooting at me. These triads were the ones shooting the dogs. Therefore, they deserve to die. All of them.
So morally, you're in the clear.
Absolutely. Especially since I am now dog.
I have become Dog Destroyer of Worlds.
I am Dog Pupper of Worlds.
Behold my barks, ye mighty in despair. Or should it be behold my borks, ye mighty in despair?
Look at that. Dog's a good boy that even he can operate switches.
Clever doggo.
Mm-hmm. And also a powerful magic shockwave. It's great.
Yeah, I think this was probably about as far as I got when I tried playing.
Yeah.
Because I remember the big stairway there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the sort of thing where, like, this is one thing that you absolutely cannot deny, even with, like, the weird, like, lacking art style the game has overall. The fact they went out of the way to, like, model and still design these discrete, different-looking environments, you know, because, like, Episode 1 was, like, a military compound. This is a medieval castle. And it's like, that is more than you can say about how original Rise of the Triad looked.
Yeah, I mean, this really feels more like something out of one of the Far Cry games.
Yeah, it's this thing that weirdly looks modern enough.
Yeah, it's sort of like half castle, half villa.
Mm-hmm. Alright, here's something funny. Bye! Your dumb AI killed yourselves for me. Now this secret...
Oh, right! I didn't realize that was like a bottomless pit there.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, those were the guards that specifically roll out of the way of your projectiles all the time. So, like, they clearly, like, have no idea to, like, roll the other way from a bottomless pit as long as you lead them in that direction, which I think is pretty great.
See, I thought you were going to Goomba stomp them there.
Oh, I wish.
There's no denying me now.
This is precisely the kind of game that would let you do that just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. But then again, I guess it's the sort of thing where, like, that wasn't a feature that they put into the original ROTT, so I guess they had no incentive to try and include it.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. It's a shame, but whatever. They still got all the great silly bits that you recognize as being distinctly Rise of the Triad.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Just maximizing this god mode as much as I can. Because as fun as the rocket weapons are, why use them right away when you have other more potent tools that you can immediately use beforehand? It's all a matter of smart use of resources.
All right, goodies.
Yeah, one of the things you really need to get over is hoarding weapons, because pretty much every other game you think, oh, rocket launcher, that's a top tier weapon. I'm never going to use that.
Yeah.
And literally every stage gives you 50.
Yeah, it's like you got several different rocket type weapons, and the thing that's a traditional rocket launcher is like the most bare bones one.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what we've got. We don't have a regular rocket launcher. We have a drunk missile. Which is going to be used specifically. It's Big John!
Come on, what are you waiting for?
Thank you, Dave Oshry, for bringing this dumb character to life.
So that's how we wound up in Dusk.
Every New Blood title. I fucking love Big John.
He's dead, Jim.
Yep. Also doubles as an introduction of, like, one of the two most bastard enemies. Actually, I think more than two. I think they were, like, the start of when original Rise of the Triad introduced enemies that were just complete right bastards to kill, and that was the Enforcers. You know, they're big damage sponges, they have hit scan, like, machine guns, and they can throw grenades. That all is still here in ROTT 2013, but it's a lot easier to deal with them by comparison in this remake compared to the original. Because if it came down to a choice, for as much as we talked about like how jank, how kind of tough to play this remake is, I would still recommend this over the original if you actually care about a game you have even a remote chance of beating legitimately.
I remember really common in mods back in the day, and level packs and so forth. Just rather than like make the stage interesting or difficult, just put in shitloads of hit scan enemies.
Yeah.
Doom 2 was infamous for it.
Yeah,
and,
the freaking
there would be-
chain gunners were
Yes,
were assholes.
many stages would just, or many levels would just have you up against a phalanx of chain gunners and nothing else.
Yeah, like, visually it may look cool if you integrate it as part of the level, but that doesn't make it fun to fight through.
No.
Anyway, here's the Excalipat. It's a fun weapon. You right-click to fire balls, or you can hold it to charge and just release, like, a huge explosion that uses all your ammo. Otherwise,
Yeah.
as long as you still have charges in it, you can left-click and do, like, a melee swing with it, and it doesn't expend any ammo. So it's kind of nice as an alternative method for, like, melee than doing the knife kills. Also, asbestos armor. So itchy.
I hear it coats your lungs with velvet.
Yeah. Yeah, even in 2013, they were like, no, asbestos armor is too funny. Even though we know what the implications of asbestos are. Hell, probably even in 95, there was probably some awareness at Apogee of like what the harmful effects of asbestos was.
Oh,
which is why they still had the oh so itchy line anyway. Oh man. So yep, we went from above ground and we're now like going through like the basements or whatever. This was like this level for me in particular. I remember being one of the ones that took like quite a number of like attempts to record over and over to get 100% run just right, because there's a weird thing that happens specifically around this point of like if you were to die. The last checkpoint was saved in the room where the Excalibat is, like right before you drop down to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I can't remember exactly like what the cause of it might have been, but I think it was like a matter of like if you were to die at any time after that checkpoint was saved, I don't think it started you up on the upper balcony where there were still like coins. And coins are necessary if you want to get that completion percentage up to 100%.
So, in other words, dying literally screws you out of getting 100%.
Yes, combined with the fact that this final section of the level has the enemies hidden in such a ways that it's like it becomes kind of unclear whether or not they actually did spawn or you're just terrible at finding them. Because like
move, Phantom Limb.
yeah, because like these hallways that we've gone through, there's side passages that reconnect to the main ones. So it's like there's like more than one way to go through like all these different doors, which can result in you like possibly missing one single room where there might have been like an enemy hiding around. That is all you need to get that 100%. Also, getting these coins is a right bastard.
This game hates completionists in a way I have not seen very often.
Yeah, I suppose. I played worse. DK64 is still sitting on my shelf.
With this.
And that's where it should stay.
Yeah, yeah, it does. There are some games in my collection that are bad, but I still keep them around to serve as a reminder, to serve as a warning to people that might see it and like, what's with this game? It's like that. It's like that. It's same for Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, just have them mounted with a plaque underneath that says "Lest we forget."
He's like, listen, these were dark times, man.
It's a story I've probably mentioned before, but when I was a kid, I had a friend with a Super Nintendo, and retro. Okay, I completely misread that one.
What did that word look like to you?
Nothing good is all I'm gonna say. Let's just say that the O looked like a D, and I'm leaving it at that.
Fair enough. I never made that mistake, but I'm glad that you caught yourself.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, that was the sort of thing where like I was double checking myself in the final seconds of this run through of the level just to make sure I did get proper 100%, because the remaining coins I needed were in that little room leading to the secret level. And once I got that confirmation, I was like, I just had a sigh of relief. Oh, thank God I can move forward after like 2 or 3 failed recording attempts. But now we get to go on to episode 2's secret level, Tombstone, which is significantly shorter and not so platforming heavy like the first secret level was. But it loves to abuse God rays.
Yeah, it kind of looks like something out of Serious Sam 3.
Yeah, I feel like this is again what I was talking about, where like they were so in love with like the graphical effects that they could achieve on Unreal Engine 3 that it kind of superseded the need for like a cohesive art style. This level feels like the kind of room they designed explicitly because like someone was just fetishizing over these God rays and was like demanding they find a place to put them in, and was like, fine, you get your own level, do whatever the fuck you want. And this is the result.
It was worth it.
Seriously, it is so goddamn blinding. It is ridiculous.
Well, it's that old adage, when you have everything set to 11, it may as well be 1.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because it's like you can kind of see them how they like filter through like the foliage, which is also another part of probably why the designer of this secret level wanted to show it off. But it's like, even then, it comes off still as way too harsh. Even like original Halos, like God rays and like light filtering through foliage was like more restrained than this, and easier to look at.
I think whoever did this also had a fetish for jump pads.
Well, yeah. Well, I think they had a fetish for jump pads that like send you laterally like very long distances.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly the thing where it's like, as part of the modularity, obviously, is like, I can clearly tell how they designed like these jump pads is that they had the asset, then they have like a script that's assigned to it with like variables that designers can modify whichever way they want, so that you could have like the trajectory, speed, and like bounce properties of it be however way they want it to be. But yeah, that's secret level episode 2. Notice how much shorter that was than the first one. They're like, there's only 4 secret levels in this game, and they're all distinct in the way that like they're clearly not designed with any sort of like common theme behind them.
No, I kind of feel as well like the one for the last level and the one for this one might have gotten swapped around. Like, yes, it's outdoors, but the fact that you could do it in less than 2 minutes feels like it should be a starter one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, this one feels like a starter. The one in episode 3 also feels like a similar starter to this. And then the one for episode 4 is one that shall not be named because I have some motherfucking words for it for when we get there. Given how this game is slavish to recreating a lot of the things that classic ROTT was known for, you can probably guess what.
Hello, Hunt Team member.
Hello, Doyle.
I'll set him up, and you try and knock him down.
Yay!
Oh, Squirrel's gonna kill me. I dropped my keys in the deep fryer.
Mr. Maruka, it's happening again.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Sebastian Doyle Christ, like, doing the briefing for a level called The Room, in which he is, like, doing his worst Jigsaw impression. Yes, again, you can tell when this was made. This was, like, not too long after the Saw movies ended. And just the whole phrase, I want to play a game. Like, yeah, we know. We're already playing it. It's already hell. For real, though, like, at least with this level, anyone that played this game back in the day, that played farther than you did, obviously, because you only got through, like, episode 1. Like, people curse this level. This is the one that I think was, like, at the time, I didn't see much of a problem with the lack of, like, a quick save and quick load. Except when I got to this level and realized, oh, I see why people want this. Because guess what the main gimmick with this is? I can tell you right now, it is not dealing with carefully placed enemy encounters.
Oh god, is it just scattershot?
Yeah, it's like...
monster closets?
Not monster closets. It's like the combat part is more an intermission to the main events, which are not combat. In all honesty, though, I see what the concept behind this level was that they were going for, and I can understand it.
Yeah, I get it now.
Like, the idea is that, you have these, like, 4 doors that you can open in any order. The idea is that you go into one section, get the key from there, use it to open up another tower to throw the switch to the next area, and you can theoretically do it in any order you like. Which, sure, that's cool. That's a solid way to approach designing a level. The problem is that these are all just platforming and navigation puzzles. Like, this one is all based around trying to avoid fire and falling into lava.
Yeah, that barely even counts as a puzzle.
Yeah, puzzle, I guess, would not be the right word. It's more like obstacle courses.
Yeah. Oh, the platforms are doing the dozy-do.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where, like, trying to, like, these spinning platforms are especially annoying to kind of deal with the first time until you understand the trick. And that is because of how they program the collision, is that when you stand on them, when they turn, so does your viewing direction. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, get a handle on, like, when and how you're supposed to jump until you realize that with that particular section, the way that it's best to do it is to just wait until, like, the platform you want to stand on is you facing it directly as it rotates, and then just jump forward. Because as soon as your feet leave the platform, like, the rotation of the platform is not manipulating your facing direction and momentum anymore. So, like, but the first time you see it, though, and especially when dealing with low frame rates back in the day, yeah, it's rough.
That reminds me way too much of the platforming in Tron 2.0. It's like whoever played that, or whoever designed this must have just seen that and been like, losers, I can do better.
Oh god, Tron 2.0 is I keep meaning to find the time to, like, get that game, like, on an abandonware site or something just to see it, because it's like it's one of those 2000s monolith games that I've still not touched, and, like, I only want to do it just out of curiosity's sake.
I'll say that visually it still stands up, because I played it again for a few hours last year. Like,
Okay.
visually, it's got a very strong visual design, so even though it is, comparatively low res by today's standards, it still looks great. The platforming challenges, whoever designed them, I want to cause pain. Like, they
You want to
should not
try
be...
them in. You want to try them in front of the Hague.
I just want to say, hey, look, here's a jumping puzzle for you, and jump up and down on their legs.
Oh god.
Like, you don't get knee privileges anymore, buddy.
Oh man.
It is, like, everyone says that Half-Life 2 had some of the worst jumping puzzles ever. Like, no, play Tron 2.0, it's worse.
Which is funny too, because it's Half-Life 1 that is more notorious for the jumping puzzles. Like,
Yeah,
2s
but-
are like so tame in comparison. Like, Valve toned that stuff down so hard in the 6 years
Yeah.
between those games.
Yeah, but no one played Half-Life 1.
You're seriously saying that straight to my face.
Come on, people don't talk about the original Half-Life anymore. Whenever they talk about Half-Life, it's 2. You know that for a goddamn fact.
Nah, there's still people that talk about Half-Life 1. It's the people that say that it's still a better game than 2. Which, they're entitled to their opinions, and I can absolutely see their reasons. I still admittedly like 2 more. But I think also that's kind of been supplanted lately by the fact that Black Mesa, that remake had been completed recently. And it's just like, yeah, I like this more than Half-Life 1, and ergo, I like it more than Half-Life 2. Because guess what? It has all the good things about Half-Life 1 with the good engine of Half-Life 2. Everybody wins. Except people that seem incredibly anal about wanting their specific speedrun strats that only work in Gold Source. Like, I remember that being, like, an explanation given to me by someone who, like, didn't like Black Mesa just because of them not going out of the way to, like, fully replicate, like, the minutia of, like, how Gold Source engine games played. And I'm like, if you're really that particular about it, then I hope to God you're one of those people that plays the non-Steam version back when they allowed for Gauss jumping in the campaign. Or when they had the actual view roll whenever you strafed.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and suggest that they're also a really big Nintendo fan and think that they're the only ones that do remakes properly.
Oh, man.
Because people whined at them when they announced that they were going to be porting the 3D Zeldas to the 3DS. And
Yeah.
said, if you don't include those, all those glitches, we're going to squeam until we're thick.
Yeah. Well, at least with Majora's Mask, it was less glitches and more just like them trying to overcorrect on weird design decisions with even weirder design decisions. Anyway, here's the final challenge, one that I actually died in and had to like cut out because this back in the day was the hardest motherfucking challenge to do, jumping on these like jump pads in order to get up here.
Reminds
And
me
you can
so
tell-
much of that one bit in Devil May Cry 3.
Oh god! Oh, the fucking It's like
Yeah,
it was like the final secret mission, whatever it was. Like it's platforming up those goddamn cubes.
It was it's a bit that keeps happening in all the games where you have to use jump pads to go up a really high tower.
Oh right, yes. Oh god, that's right. I'm remembering that one. Yeah, it's not a secret mission. It's just one of the. It's just one of those weird like transitional places to get you from like ground floor to top and vice versa. Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that.
I think there was a similar section in 4, but it's been a long time since I've played that.
There's similar, but I think it was mostly that it was instead of jump pads, it was replaced with grapple points because of Nero.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's a secret that we technically could have activated earlier, but it's more practical to activate it once you've cleared all 4 of these challenges, because because if you go through one of the challenges, then come back out, that secret entrance closes. So, like,
That's
yeah.
not poorly designed.
Yeah, so it's just more there that, like, it's kind of, and it's good to get this flame wall just to kind of show it off and, like, deal with some of the stragglers that come out. And so because of that, like, that's why it's good to save that secret for after you beat the 4 main challenges to have it as a safety net. Anyway, there's actually one more challenge. One that is entirely optional. And it is the only place where you're able to get a hold of, like, another famous original ROTT Easter egg. And it is only after surviving the biggest platforming hell imaginable.
No.
Actually, no, second biggest. The worst one is still in episode 4. But
Just nope.
nope indeed. Good thing we have this asbestos armor, though, or else we'd be, like, burnt to a crisp. It's just taking all the fire damage for us. Go down the left hole, that's most important. And then run away from the firewall.
I was going to say flame wall because...
Yeah. It's God's mystical head! From Apogee. He also gives you the exact same amount of points when you pick it up as in the original, which I forget the number, but I know that it was originally like the helpline for Apogee Softworks back in the day.
I was going to say, wasn't it like their phone number or something?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if anyone's tried to call it yet. It probably is dead, or it goes to like a completely different establishment now. Either way, that's an experiment I'm definitely not wanting to try. But yeah, it's fun. And like the best part about that Scott's mystical head is that like they actually got Scott Miller to
redo
they photographed his head again. So that's why it's not the original. They just got him making the same face, wearing the same Apogee baseball cap. And it's like, that feels great. I bet he was super happy to be told that he got to do that again.
You can't fault their enthusiasm.
Yeah. That's the only thing this game is not lacking. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm and trying. Emphasis on trying. Yeah, Rise of the Triad may as well be like the epitome of like the video game equivalent of getting like that crappily drawn like sticker star that says you made an attempt.
Rise of the Tryhard.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, that 100% complete bonus is interesting for this level because I think because of how the how this level approaches you doing things in a sort of non-linear fashion, they have a safety net of having there be more enemies than there are that get counted towards 100%. Which, you know, that probably would have been nice to have for all the other levels. But I can kind of see why that would have been a necessity given this specific level structure. A level that I made look easy enough. Because I have the benefit of better hardware and experience to know where all the bullshit lies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. If someone were to look at like this game and go, I want to give it a try, and got to this level and then quit, I would be perfectly understanding. No one likes this level. Even when it works correctly.
Yeah. I mean, just that one challenge area, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, I mean, at least God's mystical head, that bullshit is optional. Like, that's not a problem. It's just always the jumping pad one that gets me the most because it's the only one where they have like, well, no, I guess like the Great Halls of Fire with the lava counts as like a death zone, but like the jumping pads having the bottomless pit is like, that's not cool.
Team, be especially careful around the... Oh, the donuts are here. Donuts.
Well, that was a joke that was about a decade or two old when this game came out.
I mean, I know because this was 2013, my mind also immediately thinks of like just to date it further, like Explosion Man. And the fact that it had a song called Everybody Loves Donuts. Anyway, here's Spiraling In. Level design, Leon Zawada. That name is important. He's the dude that went on to make a Medieval. And I think it shows. Because this is also like another level that shows like why, well, like I think some of the level design in Rise of the Triad, in spite of its jank, is not all bad. Because he's, yeah, like this is a dude that's worked on plenty of other mods. He's actually responsible for doing a Doom total conversion that turns Doom into Rise of the Triad. Yeah, it's called Return of the Triad. I think if you just do a Google search, it still brings up the old website that he hosted it on. It's very interesting.
That would be kind of difficult, I would have thought, because even though it is still all on a 2D plane, Rise of the Triad, even the original, had a lot more verticality.
Kinda. I think it's just the difference that, like, because this the original game was still based on... Actually, I don't know for sure, because I think as long as... Because the thing with being called Return of the Triad specifically is that it wasn't trying to remake ROTT 95's levels or anything. I think it was supposed to be designed as like a fan pseudo-sequel. So
right.
without necessarily having the constraints of trying to recreate ROTT 1's level design, because let's be real, no one should, not even this game recreates ROTT 1's level design. The closest it actually gets, funny enough, is in the very first level, in that, like, if you were to take a top-down view of that level and compare it to ROTT 95's first level, like, the core layout and silhouette is actually identical. It's just all the other details that are crammed in there that make it completely different. So yeah, it was like, yeah, just taking ROTT 95's mechanics and putting them in Doom-style level design, it's like, yeah, that's not as big of a task to try and overcome. The big difficulty, obviously, is making sure that all the Rise of the Triad mechanics work correctly.
Yeah. There's more in the style of.
Pretty much.
Like a cover version.
So yeah, he made that total conversion. He did this level and a few others, most of which I recall being in episode 3, which I think helps it be, like, I think might even be like my second or third favorite of the 4 episodes, depending on how I'm feeling. But, like, this one's pretty good because it also employs, like, another, like, fantastic use of level design. Like a level design trick that is, like, when you break it down, it makes it sound not that special, but obviously it becomes a different matter when you're playing it. And it comes from the name Spiraling In. This level, as we get further, likes to demonstrate the idea of, like, you going through, like, a level layout that is kind of like a spiral. And as you're spiraling down, you're getting glimpses of the levels before and after that gives you a good sense of place for where you've been and where you're going.
Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, even a lot more competently designed games have trouble doing anything like that.
Yeah. That's all the more reason for why it's no surprise that, like, after this game, and then, like, Leon Zawada left, that he got to make his dream game, Amid Evil, and it sports, like, similarly amazing level design, which even then I'd say is still on the whole better than just this level we're going through right now, which I think should say something, because, like, man, those New Blood games, like, they really did give the designers behind them, like, the time they need to make sure that they were actually designing engaging levels.
Well, I mean, pretty much anything they put out doesn't get much attention, primarily because they are quite a small company. But from what I understand, the people that like their games really like their games.
Yeah. I think, like, the best publicity that New Blood gets is anytime Civi 11 makes a video covering one of their games.
Or Mandalore Gaming as well.
Yeah, that too. That's right. Yeah, because he did do a review for Dusk a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was where I actually first heard about it.
Yeah, I remember hearing it more from Civi because with Dusk in particular, he did, like, a 3-part series where each video was covering each individual episode. And that's kind of, like, where it was, like, he's very clearly enthusiastic about that.
Well, I mean, if you're doing, like, 3 or 4 separate videos for it, yeah.
Yeah, and especially after doing, like, a whole bunch of videos that are you having to, like, be obliged to do poor video ideas as a result of subscriber goals, like working towards, like, 100k subscribers, and you'll do a Duke Nukem Forever video, which he did. Although, admittedly, I think that came out after he was done covering Dusk. But also, here's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm taking the time to peek through, like, those gratings and, like, windows and whatever. And it's like, you're seeing, like, more or less the final room that we're heading towards. Like, this is where the spiraling in comes from. And
Okay.
the best part about it is that, like, it doesn't try and, like, overly highlight or direct your attention to it. It's just there. So, like, if you're wanting to be perceptive as you play through, it gives you more of a aha moment when you actually realize, like, how the entire space is constructed, which is, like, a good mark for, like, for any kind of video game level. When you're actually able to see the space you're going through and realize that, like, it actually flows and has a logical sense of construction behind it.
Yeah, I feel a lot of games are very focused on the idea of you see that mountain, you can go there.
Yeah,
but none
that
of
only
them.
yeah.
Yeah, none of them really go, okay, but look how far you've come.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that when it's only in the context of, like, an open world game where they don't need to worry about a carefully constructed sequence. Now, unfortunately, I have to speed things up again because this is the one blemish I have to hold against this level. In order for to get 100% completion, like, there's an extra enemy that spawns when you get to the underside of that grate. And normally he's supposed to stay there so you can shoot him. Sometimes he doesn't and will instead just chase after you down this entire path. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to head him off at the pass.
This game was competently programmed.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I can't really chalk that up to a design issue. That is clearly just some, like, weird programming thing they couldn't get to work consistently.
Oh, so that idle animation with the bat was actually kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, just everyone's very curious about what the gross green Sauron eye feels like when you poke it. 8 ways to heck.
Just the fact it starts going, no, no.
Yeah. And just a little yelp like, ow, stop it.
Right at.
Oh, man. That feeling when you are both sentient and you are a player-controlled weapon in a first-person shooter.
Well, Borderlands pretty much cornered the market on that one.
Oh god, that's right. One of their guns does have that as a fucking gimmick.
Several of their guns. They do it in Borderlands 3 as well, I think.
Oh, I guess that makes sense, because I've not touched Borderlands 3, because fuck giving Randy Pitchford any more money.
Yeah, I had it pre-ordered, got the special edition steelbook, because, like, Borderlands 2, I think just by sheer fact of the number of times I've completed it over the years, it is probably one of my favourite games. And they just took everything that I loved in Borderlands 2 and jumped up and down on it until it didn't resemble itself anymore.
Which is funny because, like with Borderlands 2 being the last time I played a Borderlands, I was already dealing with the disappointment of, like, man, you tried to go way more for the humor and you're just not landing it.
See, the thing about Borderlands is when it works, it's great.
Yeah.
But it's a very hit or miss style of comedy to begin with. Like, I think Tiny Tina is absolutely amazing. She's funny as hell.
When used correctly.
Yeah, lots of people cannot stand her. And she's basically a character in name only in the third game. Like, there's nothing other than I'm incredibly manic and I love explosions. Because that kind of thing is funny when it's a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Not so much when she's 19. Then it just comes across as advanced psychosis.
Yeah. Plus, it's the sort of thing where I feel like it's like I feel like a lot more of a case was made for Tiny Tina being a good character when it came to her DLC in 2.
Yeah, which
Because
gave it a lot of depth.
Yeah, whereas, like, there just wasn't enough of that, if at all, during the main game.
Basically none. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, here's that character you remember. Okay, see ya.
Yeah. She's voiced by the sister of Anthony Birch, the writer. You can
Yeah.
see how that was easy to get her on board.
Really hot.
Yeah, she's voiced by the sister of the writer who doesn't work here anymore, but we're keeping her around because she's popular.
Yeah. God, that's... Oh, man. Like, it's all just reminding me more like when I was going to college, kind of like the last one I was going to that, like, I finally was able to get to finish my degree, and that, like, there was actually, like, a talk that, like, where Anthony Birch did come by and basically talk about like his experience with writing in games and like what like the challenges that come with it are. And it was very fascinating because of how, unsurprisingly, most of it had to do with Borderlands 2. And it was a mix of like how, you know, obviously the humor being like a noted subject that is like you either love it or you don't because of how hit and miss it is. But also the fact that like the way like he wanted to approach writing things was very much hampered by the fact that like Gearbox's engine for how they handled things in game was limited in certain ways that he couldn't like make good on certain story concepts that he wanted to be portrayed a certain way. Like specifically, it was Roland's death. He actually wanted it where when you're turning in the quest to him at like the part in the story where he's supposed to get killed, is that you're reading like the quest complete prompt and like the text and whatnot, but then just partway through it when he's doing his dialogue, like Handsome Jack just pops up and just shoots him in the fucking head.
Yeah, that would have been so much better if they'd done it.
Yeah, but they couldn't because the way that they had programmed like the in-game cinematics and like the quest like completion prompts and whatnot as like separate things, they couldn't really combine the both of them the way that Anthony had wanted to like write in the scenario. So that's why it ended up being just more of a traditional in-game cinematic anyway.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that years ago.
Yeah, so it's the sort of thing where it's like, yeah, I definitely... Like, if the choice is given between no humor like Borderlands 1, or at least not overt humor like Borderlands 1, or any of the Borderlands 2 humor, I would still prefer the former. But I at least have a bit more respect for Anthony Birch just because I can at least understand more that, like, there were clearly a whole bunch of other struggles he was trying to deal with, both creatively and technically, when trying to write for that fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's clearly more than just whether or not he was, like, qualified for his job or anything. Like, it was more complex than that.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much ask anyone that writes scripts or anything or concepts for games, and they'll tell you, like, you're constantly having to go back and forth between what do I want to do and what am I capable of doing in this game, this setting, this engine.
Yeah, and also whether or not the designers are going to completely upend the order of certain things because they feel it's going to have better gameplay flow. And then it's like, well, shit, I got to rearrange like all the writing to fit this.
So many games have had really important story beats basically ruined because someone decided to shift this section over to this part, and, you know, here's an important revelation that's not going to make any sense in 5 chapters.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, time for an annoying, like, hard to land jump that could very easily, like, tank this playthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, I think that's that's only the first of the two the worst that it gets. There's another jump pad, the puzzle, or, like, obstacle later, but I manage it just fine.
I forget, can the enemies wander into stuff like the spike traps?
They can. They do get damaged by these things, but it's just like, but good luck getting them to like do it consistently, just because they already have like bullet weapons anyway. So it's like there's no reason for them to get close unless you get into a specific range of them. Because the thing that the enemies can do, obviously, is that if you get close enough, they'll sometimes go out of their way to just steal your weapons.
Whoa. Guy decided to go all Sonic the Hedgehog on you.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you're a soldier, you can't spin attack. Or can you?
He's like, he was trying to go for, like, the weapon jacking animation, but it got blended in with the ragdoll. It was just like, whoop, 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 whoop. Just whatever that fucking sound effect happens for just, like, weird comedic slipping pratfall or whatever the hell.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, I've noticed that the enemies usually tend to be smart enough to stop before or after, well, usually before they get into any kind of booby trap range.
Yeah, but a lot of that is like I say, like influenced by the fact you're already so far away that like their AI kind of takes priority on just using like like regular guns or nets if they have them, because that's a rare thing that they can always do to try in this scenario.
Yeah, thankfully they don't do that very often, otherwise the game would be even more frustrating.
Yeah. Still cool that they put it in, though, just because, again, ROTT 95 had it.
It's unexpected. You don't really see many games, especially FPSs, where enemies try and disable you rather than just straight up kill you.
Yeah. Or in some cases, like, if you shoot them enough times, they'll get on their knees and beg for their lives.
Yeah, I remember that being a feature in the original.
Yeah. And even sometimes playing dead. Which is actually a feature that does not work as well in this version compared to the 95 original, because if you pay attention to the score, every time I kill an enemy, it says X enemy killed. You know, it's like the number goes up. If an enemy's playing dead, you don't get that prompt, so that already spoils the fact that they're trying to fool you. So it's like, good job, you've accomplished nothing. Okay.
I've never seen that booby trap before.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now this is, I think, the first room, like, even when I was, like, playing for this, where it's, like, this is where it actually starts to hover, like, around 30 FPS on average for me, no matter what. I actually did a test recording of this with the graphics settings to low to see if that would actually fix it, and not by a lot. This room is, like, even with today's, like, CPU and GPU hardware that we have now, it is still incredibly taxing.
Is it just because there's so much going on in it?
Like so much geometry, so many flame effects, because there's a lot of those, like, in the corner that contribute to it. And also, I think, like, at the light, just the overall lighting model that they have going on. But definitely the fire effects, I'm pretty sure, are absolutely, like, a key part in, like, tanking it the way that it is. Because it doesn't pose as much of a problem when you're, like, on the upper catwalks and not facing it. Anyway, time to go up here for a line that was prompted way earlier than it was supposed to, because it's supposed to happen when you go through that door into a not so subtle Soylent Green reference.
And I bet it smells so good with the flame wall in there.
Yeah.
Like hot dogs and victory. Ah.
Yeah. And that's how priest porridge is made.
It's like there's music and everything.
Yep, shroom mode's still not fun.
Still not fun. The only thing that's somewhat enjoyable about it is just, like, every voice actor coming up with, like, their own weird, like, highest balls quip whenever they're on there. I still like Lorelai's the best, because it's basically like she knows what's happening and she's freaking out, like, bad trip, this is a fucking bad trip. Now, unfortunately, like, yeah, shroom mode's not fun.
This shit?
Oh,
really?
God, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, Elasto mode, it's way worse. And the crazy part is, this is like the first time where it's mandatory. You actually saw the power-up back in episode 1 in level 3.
When you were jumping off the cages.
Like,
or the shelves, sorry.
Yeah, the shelves. It was like where we got the firebomb. And yeah, like, you saw, like that was technically a power-up, but I was deliberately avoiding it, but never explained why. Well, this section is your answer for why I never picked it up.
Yep, I forgot that was a thing.
Yep, power-ups. Or rather, in this context, power-downs.
Oh, see what you did there.
Yep. Again, because ROTT 95 had it. You can tell this is a running theme.
Yeah, I remember Carmageddon had it as well, but it was nowhere near as annoying.
Right. Oh, yeah. God, I can only imagine just, like, those kind of elastophysics being, like, real especially silly in a game like Carmageddon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was mostly programmed so that if you got rammed into or if you hit anything, you just sort of bounced off in the opposite direction. But it was sometimes possible to, by some kind of fluke of collision detection, to get hit so hard you bounced off to the fucking moon. Like, it would take like a good solid 30 seconds just to get back to Earth. It was nuts.
It's like Warthog jumps in Halo 1 wish they could be.
Yeah. It's what everyone claimed Warthog jobs... Warthog... Blah.
A warp or work.
What? Fuck off.
Words are hard, we know. Let's just get out of this fucking death trap.
You know what? Fuck it. Everyone dies.
You know what? Actually, fuck the Warthog. It's hard to say. Let's call it what it really looks like. A puma.
Yeah, it looks more like one of those, what you call it, chuppa thingies.
That'd be the Chupacabra, sir.
Yeah, one of them. Chuppa thingy.
I like it. It's got a ring to it. Anyway, time to make use of this God Mode power-up that we've been saving until now. Because more enemies show up. And it's always great to use God Mode when you just have, like, half a dozen enemies to lay waste to.
Yeah, I remember apparently the dog mode power-up came out. It originally wasn't in the game, but someone fat-fingered God to be dog, and they were like, let's go with that, see what happens.
Yeah. Also, it's good to carry over this God Mode power-up for dealing with these 3 Triad Enforcers. Like, more time efficient than just using a regular bazooka, because it's like I got counted. With the bazooka specifically, it's like it takes 3 of those rockets to down 1 Triad Enforcer. Even though they are less of a pain than they were in the original, they're still damage sponges. But that's it. Another 100% in the bag.
Oh, God.
Your ass is mine.
Yep. Admittedly, in terms of, like, scripting and, like, kind of that set piece, that's at least, like, a clever enough way to, like, end the level.
Yeah, I'll give him that one.
Yeah, it's not going up to a switch on the wall and flipping it. It's got something to it.
Or wandering through a door.
Mm-hmm. Instead, we get to fall into a pool of blood.
Is it Wednesday already?
Hmm.
Actually, yes, it is.
Ah, yes, it is. Sadly, not a Friday.
Yes, not Friday.
There's always time for fun. It's Friday night. It's not Friday. It's Wednesday.
Aww.
That is the best fucking edit of that line from Killer 7. Okay, here we go. Time to beat up this fucking nerd.
Everybody else has made it past my puzzles and traps too. You're nothing special. Zinga.
Like I said, nerd. This dude deserves to get shoved into a locker.
Can we get a rocket launcher that fires lockers at him?
Oh man, could you imagine if just a fucking weapon where like, imagine like a gun in some other crazy shooter where like the whole point is that it shoots out a singularity, but instead of a singularity, it is just like a school locker that opens up and swallows enemies. That would be pretty sweet.
Or like a semi-automatic wedgie gun.
Or a toilet that just dunks on their head for an automatic swirly.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, all of those things, that is what Sebastian Doyle, in quotes, Chris, deserves. Fucking nerd. That's what he sounds like.
Like, I have never wanted to punch someone's voice so hard.
Yeah, it really is the sort of thing where just, like, the voice they went for is just the most early 2010s core energy to it.
Yeah.
Back when people, for some reason, still thought that was, like, a funny character type.
Next.
Like, I know the intention was, you know, to create a character that is insufferable. Mm-hmm. But they just succeeded too well.
Bring the pain.
Yeah. There's a point where success circles back around into failure.
Yeah.
Next.
Anyway, time to shut this dude up. This bastard that was the reason for why I stopped my ludicrous difficulty playthrough after beating him.
Next.
Because compared to General Darien, he is magnitudes orders more annoying to deal with. Because the first part of his phase is you got to get him to fire at these pylons with his primary weapon, which otherwise has a lot of splash damage and can deal a ton of damage to you. But even when that's gone, he gets rid of that main cannon and just switches over to hit scan machine gun fire, which is always fun to deal with in these sort of games.
I hate those kind of bosses where it's like goad them into attacking X at the best of times.
Yeah.
Because it always winds up being hit or miss as to whether or not it's going to work.
Yeah. At least during this phase, like the goading him into like hitting the pylons went a whole lot smoother. It's just so much easier. Like this is where like the fight actually slows down a lot. Yeah, I love you appreciated just like expending all the fucking baseballs. I just love how fast you can swing those out.
Just nope with a capital F-U-C-K.
Yeah, unfortunately that strategy I did doesn't work on Ludicrous precisely because his machine gun bullets tear you to pieces. Like, it is the worst case of like, poke your head out of the corner, get a few shots off, then get back inside.
Yeah, not a fan of that style of gameplay either.
Yeah.
I would rather die 1,000 deaths than have you raise a finger to help me.
Silence now, child. Let the blood water
Yes.
take you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's at least a very creative and practical use of a good middle finger.
Yep, I appreciate that one.
Yeah, it's exactly what this fuckhead deserved. So there we go. Episode 2 completed. We're already halfway through the game. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, just like old school shooters, when you know how things work, this game is short as fuck. So yeah, look forward next time to episode 3, where things are going to get a whole lot more mechanical and dealing with a lot more robots.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. With a particular robot who is, I'm going to say, decidedly less bullshit than his original 95 counterpart. It's at least a more interesting take on it. See you then.